world need to remind people of the stability and the democracy and the hopefulness of America.
Steve, it will be a smaller inauguration ceremony, but they're still having one in person. And let's be honest, you know, if President Trump did this, he would be getting crushed for hosting a super spreader event. We'd all be saying it.
Well, this continues a tradition, Stephanie, that began in 1797 when John Adams succeeded George Washington and became the second president, and power transferred peacefully for the first time in this country's history under a constitutional order. Joe Biden arrives in the Capitol, a militarized Capitol, much the same way that Abraham Lincoln did in 1860, under threat of assassination from Southern seditionists who would soon wage a civil war against the United States of America that would kill 600,000 people by the time it was over. So we have seen an era of American catastrophe in this country for 4 years. It is ending. Tomorrow is a new beginning, which means there is new hope. The country is in great crisis. We will have a new leader, and we will see Donald Trump shuffle off in ignominy, shame, and disgrace. The damage that he's done to America is incalculable. Tomorrow, we begin the repair work, and it will require people of good faith from political parties, no political parties at all, to come together to put the country first, and expect to hear that from Joe Biden. Don't focus on the crowd size. Focus on the message, and focus on the majesty that with 35 words, a new American shall become our commander-in-chief, the head of state, the president of the United States of America, the 46th president, the 45th man to hold the office. We'll see our first woman vice president. It will be a historic day. And it will be a day, I think, where most of this country sighs a great sigh of relief as Donald Trump departs with a 29% approval rating, and the Capitol insurrection not yet 2 weeks in the rearview mirror.
Always a history lesson. In another life, Steve Schmidt was a beloved high school social studies teacher. I got to ask you this, Robert. Trump wants to have this big military send-off, a band, a 21-gun salute. Who approves this and who pays for it? Because this isn't the Trump campaign. By my estimation, this appears to be taxpayer dollars for this send-off when we've got millions of people in this country who are on food lines right now.
Yeah. I think the bad news, Stephanie, is that this is likely approved by the president as the commander-in-chief, and is likely, almost certainly, is paid for by you, me, Steve, and others, taxpayers in this country, regrettably. But look, I think, you know, it will be a predictable sideshow for Donald Trump. The chaos will follow him until the very end. I think, though, you know, the pictures will be of a small crowd waving somebody off into history, hopefully. And I think, as Steve said, focusing on the importance and the majesty, but more importantly, the hopefulness and the message of unity and coming together, and in tackling the big projects that the American experiment has in front of it, I think will really be the order of the day.
Is that going to happen, Steve? Where do Republicans go from here? As one former member of Trump's Justice Department told The Atlantic, quote, "We're about to see a whole political party do a large-scale version of the new phone, who dis? It's going to be like that boyfriend you never should have dated, the mistake that shall not be mentioned." Do you think that's how Republicans are going to treat Trump, or will he be the kingmaker he thinks he is?
There's a great flaw in the strategy, and it's this: the winners write history, and they're the losers, and they're the architects of sedition and insurrection, violence and death. 147 members of Congress, all Republicans, all white, rose to throw out millions of black votes. How many companies in this country have signed pledges in favor of racial justice, supporting Black Lives Matter? I don't see how they can ever make a donation again that goes to any of those members who sought to reimpose Jim Crow on this country. They have incited violence. They have participated in the big lie. They have poisoned democracy. The shame of the people around Trump who have participated in the shaping of the great American catastrophe over the last 4 years will be held to account. Will be held to account by the judgment of history, by the judgment of decent Americans. They'll be held to account by corporate America as they look for jobs, by corporate America as they seek donations. They will not write their history. We will write their history, and their shame will last forever. They are carved like etching into granite onto history's list of villains in this country. Mark Meadows, Lindsey Graham, Kevin McCarthy, Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz, Mo Brooks, and too many more to mention. There will be no forgetting. There will be no forgiveness. We do not seek retribution, but we do seek accountability and justice for an assault and attack on the government of the United States of America that killed 6 people. And for the first time in the history of our country, some 150 years after the end of the Civil War, the Confederate flag at long last reached the United States Capitol and was paraded through the rotunda as this illiberal fascistic mob desecrated the floors of the House of Representatives and the Senate. They don't get to rewrite what happened.
Winners write the history. Steve, Robert, thank you so much. And I've got a feeling if any of those companies try to forget, Steve Schmidt and the Lincoln Project's going to remind you. Coming up next, in President Trump's final hours, he is setting up Joe Biden to make a major decision on COVID travel restrictions. I'll be asking a member of the Transition COVID Advisory Board what we can expect from the new president in the next 10 days. Do not forget, we're in a pandemic.